Doesn't have to be with Alzheimer's, often is. Some people participate strictly for social reasons, but it is a program that runs every weekday, Monday through Friday. We have 2 sites for it. The big one is in Evanston on Howard Street. And that also in turn gives respite for the people who are taking care of their loved ones. You can bring them into the program. The other one is out in Deerfield. I'll explain that in a minute. And for the day, they are busy every hour of every day with a different activity. We have volunteers who come in and do music programs. I'm going to read you a tribute of one of the, from one of the managers. Also, I want to go backwards. I'm so sorry. I wanted to inform you that we serve over 20,000 people a year. It might be a phone call, it might be services. I think that's impressive. And yeah, we have this assortment. I'm sorry. Okay. So the value we talked about is Kavod, adult day services in Evanston and Deerfield. And we have Tori, who runs our Evanston program. And this is what she has to say about her arts, therapy, dance, and drama clients. So she reflected on the impact of dance and drama sessions on our clients. She said, in quotes, "It is so nice to see clients light up in a new way at ADS, Adult Day Services." One of our clients said she told her doctor she wanted to work on her strength to be able to stand and dance with the therapist. She did eventually stand and dance and felt accomplished and proud of herself. Luke, the therapist, drama therapy program incorporates elements of improvisation, using your imagination, writing stories together, and acting out different scenarios and roles, and so much more. They spent an hour in the room together, taking the group on adventures such as game show hosts. They became the game show hosts, to the bottom of the ocean, on archaeological digs, or even as a pet store owner. You can hear the clients laughing from the other room, and Lou creates a space that is stimulating and fun for everyone. So it's a way to engage with older adults who we might think and we don't know how to engage with. And here is a program that's made for them. Okay. And they're doing all sorts. She's very creative. She is working on making this program and this space a larger picture, which would be something, we're not calling it anything official yet, but a cognitive health center. So they're going to be offering programs for caregivers and those sorts of things. Just be on the lookout. Things are happening at CJE. All right. Second of all, we have legal services. I actually asked one of our new employees, Amy, who stopped by today, and I was like, oops, I made a pivot, forgot to mention it, and because of the holidays got swept up. So Amy and Tamara work in the legal services department. Again, I'm on the conversation with Vanessa that we may be the host of having a larger, what they focus on is end-of-life documents, things such as power of attorneys. There's a new law that came to be in January. So we're looking at how do we refresh our power of attorney documents to reflect the new laws. So we do local workshops. I held one actually up in Deerfield at a church. They had their own attendance. It was almost 20 people. So it is important. If you don't have this in order, we have a legal department that will work on this with you. There may be some qualifications, but of course we'll call local workshops. Boom, boom, boom. Let me tell you what Tamara has to say about her department. A woman came recently to the CJE senior life lawyer because of mistakes on her credit report. She felt comfortable with Tamara, who runs the department, and she returned a short time later to finally take care of her advanced care planning. Advanced care planning can be very deeply emotional for many people who need to get their end-of-life plans in order. Now, I'm going to talk about things no one wants to talk about, just so you know. Tamara and her team understand this, and she recognizes the importance. She quotes, "We know that people who plan for healthcare emergencies receive better care and have better health outcomes than those who don't," she said. "And those who plan for their healthcare life live better lives and they die better deaths." One of the useful services that Tamara provides the seniors is an easy-to-learn tutorial on how to make what she calls the binder. This is how I encourage people to plan, she said. She also provides a list of what people should include in the binder so they can make their own. These are important documents. So when the time comes, your kids aren't looking in 5 different places through your papers and your files. It's all in one place. I have one myself. The binder is exceptionally well thought out and useful. Tamara uses large print and easy to open sections for those who might have difficulty with eyesight or arthritis. And the documents are categorized and easy to find in case of emergency. Everybody should have this because then when the time comes, your loved ones will be ready, she said. Tamara strongly recommends those 60 and older to make an appointment so they can learn how to make their own binders. So far, okay?
Yep. Notes and notes and notes and notes.
Tamika. Advocacy. Who knows what advocacy means? Who can't use a little bit of advocacy? All right, we have a whole department of community-based service. We just got a new building, a building that was named and helped, paid for, obviously, that houses our community-based services. It's called the Delighter Campus. It's adjacent to the JCC on Tui, where our administrative office, myself have an office, I'm part of the marketing team there. And here are some of the community-based services that I know you've heard of, and I've got a vignette for every one of them. So our counseling department is sort of obviously, and let me tell you about a story. Ruth is a 74-year-old woman living in the senior housing building. She's retired from teaching, but says that her work was her only source of pleasure, and as it gave her purpose and an opportunity for social connection. She has several health issues and finds accessing medical care challenging due to her limited insurance coverage. She'd like to change her insurance plan, but cannot afford to do so. Most of her time is spent attending to her health needs and going to doctor's appointments. She feels isolated, depressed, and anxious. Ruth has experienced periods of homelessness throughout her adult life, and she has a constant fear of losing her housing. Excuse me. She also has a history of trauma that affects her capacity to trust others. She was receiving counseling services from another Jewish social service agency, but when her therapist of many years left the agency, she came to CJE. She has been receiving counseling, care management, and benefit services from CJE for the past 3 years, and these departments work together to support her. Ruth says that she feels comforted knowing that CJE is involved in her care. She meets weekly with her therapist to address the impact of her trauma history, and has often said that if she did not have these therapy sessions, she does not know what she would do. It is extremely important to Ruth to receive mental health services at a Jewish agency whose staff is proficient in and focused on working with older adults. Great that I don't have to make these stories up, isn't it? Okay, we have benefit services. Benefit services, I'm going to give you an example of how we coordinate these services. So, ready? Josephine. Josephine is a client who benefited greatly from our holistic approach. She initially approached CJE for legal guidance. Her mother had recently died, and she wanted to learn more about how to set up a trust fund for her benefit. CJE's legal services team explained the trust fund details and showed her how much she could use monthly for her living costs. It was quickly determined that her expenses exceeded her income, and she was referred to benefit services. A benefit services specialist assisted Josephine by performing a detailed benefits checkup and found she was eligible for several government aid programs, including Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, who's heard of SNAP, formerly food stamps. She was eligible for her internet essentials for web access and a free cell phone service. Josephine declined to apply for internet and phone service because she dislikes those technologies, but we helped her successfully apply for SNAP. Next, her benefits specialist introduced her to a budgeting tool that helped her see that her expenses were exceeding her income. We recommended and assisted her in successfully applying for affordable housing at CJE's Robino residence subsidized housing site, which lowered her rent to 30% of her income, and we assisted her in applying for help with her utility expenses. All of the benefits combined reduced her living expenses by $700 a month. This comprehensive approach of the benefit services teams helps clients access the assistance they need, equips them with knowledge, and improves their quality of life. Okay. First mistake on the PowerPoint, I found it yesterday, sorry. Care management, not case management, although they're similar. All right, what did I write? Care management. As a local child at the ripe old age of 63, who can relate, of an aging parent, I feel fortunate to spend time with my 95-year-old mom. She's an amazing person, and we are so lucky to have her in our lives. She is also at the point that she needs a lot of help, and her expenses far outpace her income each month. For me, that means keeping track of how long her money will last. In addition, I observe that her cognitive abilities are decreasing, and sadly, I worry about whether her current living situation will remain appropriate. All this felt completely overwhelming, and I was spending a lot of time worrying unproductively. I knew that CJE had a great reputation and offered care management services, but it still took me time to get started. When I finally read the website and realized my mom and I qualified for free assistance, I was so relieved. That got me to take the first step and reach out to CJE. Now I'm working with a staff member in this department, and I feel like a new person. She has helped me in ways I knew I needed, and in ways I never expected. I feel like I have someone guiding me, providing the right advice, going above and beyond my expectations, and doing all of this with compassion and empathy. Her demeanor with my mom was beautiful and respectful. She created instant rapport and had my mom laughing and telling her stories in no time. I know we will continue to have Annie's support and guidance as we navigate these waters that are uncharted for me, but are so well known to the staff person. That's why care management is so important, especially as dwindling assets become a worry. I can't say enough good things about this program and the vital role it is playing in my mom's life and mine. All right, here's another of Marla's favorites, and Alan's, and Carol's. Home delivered meals. They just moved also from Skokie up to Deerfield. So warning, we'll be coming to this area where actually you would never think of it, but Northbrook has an incredible rate of food scarcity. For example, things you would never think of that are true. So we are planning to mobilize our resources in this area. So you may see a flyer come your way. Let's see. Okay. A letter from the daughter of a home delivered meals. We call it HDM. You know, we go to all those letters. Client. All right, here we go. My name is Sylvia, and my parents benefit from your wonderful services. They're both in their 90s, and in the past 2 years, my mother has become debilitated by Alzheimer's and is no longer able to put meals together. My father has a vision impairment, so he has no help in the kitchen. Because of this wonderful meal service provided by CJE, and let me make a side note, we are part of the Meals on Wheels network, just to let you know. So it's a viable, we're not a standalone, we do things with people. My parents have been able to stay in their own home since the decline of my mother. I cannot thank you enough for the care and consistency that your organization provides. I have talked with the coordinator at different times when I have questions, and she has been so helpful with this program. She is kind, thorough, and concerned. In fact, when I was in town this past April, I came to visit the staff person, as I am so impressed by her. She was a joy to meet. I live out of state, so knowing that my parents have nutritious and delicious meals throughout the week gives me peace of mind. I cannot thank you and your staff enough for this invaluable service. All right. And, oh goodness, hold on. It's here somewhere. Yeah. Okay, another community-based service, which was really important to those of us in the room, I think, Holocaust Community Services. A multitude. They often operate sort of on their own because they have such a wide variety. They're working with about 2,000 minimum clients still left. They do parties for them, etc. A lot of services sort of in their own, but they are part of CJE. So here's an interesting interaction I will share from that department. Vera is an 86-year-old Holocaust survivor, originally from Belarus, who receives ongoing financial assistance from HCS, Holocaust Community Services, for food, medication, and home care. Until the spring of 2024, Vera had not visited a dentist in several years, despite great need due to fear and anxiety related to the pandemic and her personal health. Vera's HCA's care manager worked with Vera to overcome some of these anxieties, and Vera eventually agreed to visit her dentist. Following her initial evaluation, Vera's dentist proposed a treatment plan totaling $6,500, including multiple root canals, crowns, and a partial denture. Vera's care manager submitted a request for emergency financial assistance to help with this expense. HCS's critical supports coordinator, who manages all the emergency fund assistance requests, received the request and worked with one of HCS's volunteer dentists to review the treatment plan and ensure it was appropriate and fairly priced given the client's diagnoses. The volunteer dentist immediately raised concerns about the prognosis of such an extensive treatment plan given the client's condition. She was especially concerned about the feasibility of performing root canals and placing crowns on weak teeth with extensive bone loss. With this feedback, the HCS critical supports coordinator, care manager, and volunteer dentist worked with the dentist directly to ultimately create a new treatment plan with a better prognosis, which brought the total cost down to $2,300. And HCS made a payment directly to the dentist's office the day after the request was approved, and Vera's dental work was completed that same day. That's a good one, right? All right. Onward we go. Chesed. I know you've all heard of that. You heard of that? Compassion. So I took the idea of senior living to be part of this compassionate choice that we make with and sometimes for our family members. I don't want to scare you, but my feeling is, having been in this role for 3 years and working closely with our senior communities, it's so much nicer to make the decision yourself than having one made for you, isn't it? So think, again, I'm going to talk about the hard stuff, but I'm around it all day long. Well, during the week and sometimes on Sunday mornings. Okay. So we have several choices in our residential living, and you should know that CJE Senior Life, our whole background was based in senior living. That's how we started, actually. So what I love to go out in the community and say is that we have the breadth and the depth of senior living. Not all of it, but most all of it covered. Okay. We have affordable housing. Some people call it subsidized housing. We have 4 buildings in the Skokie area, like right into Lincolnwood. We have one really cool, another little gem, I call it, Robino Housing. It's a group housing situation on Howard Street in Skokie. Really cool. Ask me about it. And then we have our Deerfield campus, who are your neighbors. So like a good neighbor, let's talk about them. We have our Tamara's North Shore. We called our Deerfield campus. We offer, we can't say a continuum of care because we don't have skilled nursing care, but we have independent living and assisted living. So we can say we have a continuum of service. It's a little nuanced there. Tamarisk is our wonderful new building that chose to open in 2020. However, I am elated to tell you that we are at 80% occupancy. It's an independent community that was built for adults 65 and better. I will tell you that the average age is way above that, probably into the 80s, but assortment of people. There was sort of a new group that came in a little bit younger, I go 70s. And that in this space, we have 240 apartments of various sizes and costs. And what I want to tell you about this is it is a rental community. So options in senior care also include this continuum of care, which is often, we call it a CCRC, Continuum of Care Retirement Community, where you start at independent, move to assisted. Sometimes they have a rehab if, God forbid, you have an accident, and then skilled. Again, we don't have skilled. We used to. Who remembers Lieberman in Skokie? So I worked there for many years, my first 3 with volunteers, and then we had the pandemic, and then boom, it was sold. So we miss it, but it's a very expensive endeavor to undergo. And so at this time, we don't know what's in our future. It could be in the future, may not be Lieberman, but you get the idea. Right now, we're talking about independent living at Tamara's, and it was built to be competitive with the neighborhood. So it is a higher level of living. It is a beautiful building. There are amenities galore, including dining options, life enrichment programming, a pool, a sauna, 24-hour concierge, 24 maintenance on call, but it is independent. And the way you would notice that is if, God forbid, you had an emergency and fell, we call 911. No one is in the building to really help you. It's liability, right? So we just have to be cautious. But you're signing up for independent living. There are people there with caregivers, part-time and full-time. I'll leave it at that. Because back in the day, who remembers? I know I grew up with parents and grandparents, and there was only 2 choices. It was the nursing home or at home. So this whole assisted living, which we're going to talk about now, is the Weinberg community, has only been in existence for about 30 years. It's a wonderful, wonderful, if you will, middle stage. Okay, you have to qualify. Some people, I'm sure in this room, know this as Gidwitz. The truth of the matter, it is the whole big building is Weinberg. In Weinberg is Gidwitz, 125 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, all assisted living, down a nice secured hallway, 40 studio apartments, called the Friend Center for memory care. I call it assisted living with memory support. You might hear it as memory care. And that is for people with Alzheimer's or related cognitive disorders. And they're private rooms. They have small bathrooms versus Gidwitz, which has a full-size bathroom. And then at Friend Center, everybody gets help with their grooming and bathing, all the activities, and all the meals. And remember, I told you there was an adult day service program? The other one is there in the Friend Center part of the building. I call it a fishbowl. It's like the room within the rooms. It's a wonderful program. Again, Monday through Friday. That one's 9 to 5. Depending on where you live, you might be able to get on the bus. And you should know that Weinberg had a facelift it's now like 2.5 years ago. It is also beautiful. Come on over, see me, call me. I'll give you a tour. Or if you're really interested, I'll give you to the sales team because they know it inside and out. And all the different sections. So Gidwitz, Friend Center, and ADS, the Adult Day Program, have separate calendars. Unless it might be for like the New Year's Eve, might have been a party together. It might be separate, but mostly they have their own calendars of activities. Okay, what else? So assisted living, we talked about, you're going to live as independent as you can. I'm going to take questions at the end. I don't think I said that. Is that okay? So keep your questions in mind. And onward we go. Oops. Going so weird. What am I doing? Hold on. I'm not. There we go. I pushed the wrong side of the button. Okay. So we're back to our programs with our kavanah. You've heard that word, right? Intention. Okay. So I put a few programs under there. Community engagement, we kind of give the big title. We encourage people to expand their minds and their physical abilities. And we have education, lectures, activities, and social events. And you might see this if you're ever on our list to receive what we do. What is the first one I will talk about is CJE Cyber Club. CJE Cyber Club came into being during the pandemic. CJE, and I am so proud to say this, was probably one of the very first that went to Zoom immediately. Our programs went to Zoom. People from all over, and I'm not exaggerating, the world came into our Zoom meeting to see what we were up to. Because people didn't know what to do. And I gotta tell you, we got the people in the place that know how to think about these things. So we were the first during the pandemic, but we offer everything from exercise. There's a Yiddish, I'm gonna read you some quotes. There's a Yiddish class. There's art lectures, everything you can name. And I will tell you this, in my personal experience, when I head out to senior expos, which could be anywhere from Wheeling, Buffalo Grove. I even went, there's a big one every summer at the end of August, middle of August, out in Rolling Meadows. I have people who come to me who tell me, thank you, thank you, thank you for having your programs online, believe it or not. How many do we have from online today?
21.
21. Okay, so still more in the house, but really, there's people that still, especially in this weather, I give it, it's fine. All right, and then I'm gonna talk about these and then read about 5 one-line quotes for you. My go-to place actually started a model with the Skokie Village. And we partnered and brought in a program like one Tuesday afternoon. I think it started a month and went to twice a month, and then there was the pandemic. And now we actually have one that meets in the Lakeview area. It's actually got a grant or a funder who's helping offset that. And we try to get there's like 5 or 6 synagogues in the area that we're trying to get to come toward. Anshe Ahmed seems to be the host, but various programs. So I think that we're still keeping up with things in our way. Let me read a few quotes about these. I think you'll get a kick out of them. I surely did. Okay, we have Sylvia, who is a Cyber Club participant. Thank you for sharing your outstanding programs from a regular and appreciative viewer who, while somewhat housebound, depends on your programs. And at 92, your programs are always worthwhile.
Excuse me, could you tell us what one of these programs are?
Yes, I thought I did. I'm sorry. It might be an exercise class. We do book clubs. We do a Yiddish class. We do art lectures. We do travel lectures, things like that. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, you can sign up. See me later. All right, I have another Cyber Club participant whose name is Ruth. I just want to thank CJE and you for another outstanding presentation. Thank you for all you do and do so well. Not bad, right? All right, third one. Excellent Yiddish Tish class. Host is most congenial. Speaks fluent Yiddish, and it's great to learn new and relearn old. Please keep us going. And then I told you about the book club. Joining this book club gives me the opportunity to hear women of insight and intelligence. Although I think the leader is a male and a female. I never cease to learn from you all. Thank you so much. And last comment, just when I think I have seen the very best that you bring to us, another great winner comes along. Huge thanks, big fan, past 90 and at home alone much of the time, and I treasure your Zoom offerings. Okay, and then we have the never-ending, wonderful volunteer service. So thank you, Alan Public, stepping up and into leadership on a board. You all know what that means. Volunteer services often list opportunities, how to get involved. And we also, of course, celebrate and appreciate our volunteers annually, if not in between. Okay. I have 2 more values. We're rounding out the end. Oh, this is working out well, time-wise. Okay. Kiddushim, innovation. Just so you know, we don't rest on our laurels, do we? Okay. We encompass research, education. We have a program I'm going to tell you about called Dementia Reality. It's a new way of learning for professionals, and they're now rolling out caregiver modules by using virtual reality headsets. It is incredible. A huge grant, can't do it alone, it's too expensive. You can train, we're trying to get people to sign up for their professionals in their communities. It's a way, I'm gonna tell you how it's described on the website because I really believe in this program. The first virtual reality, they tend to do role-specific models, so I told you about caregiving. Then we do one for dining rooms, then we do one for the caregivers in the community, and it actually teaches empathy. So how do you teach empathy, I'm thinking? So one way I'm thinking is realistic and interactive content. So you watch somebody, like a caregiver, do it quote unquote wrong. Then you watch them do it right. And then you discuss it. So Dementia Reality uses the latest in 360 video technology delivered in virtual reality to create realistic interactive content. The master trainers have at least 5 years of experience in dementia training. So depending on the focus. What I took from my colleague who is responsible for this brainchild is that the most interesting comment she has heard with the trainings is that the people who are in the trainings often have to be reminded, okay, who has never done this? Remember, blah, blah, blah. Those people, our loved ones, can't remember. So we have to remind ourselves, and those of us, that they're caring for somebody who can't remember. So whenever they're tempted to say remember, use it for a reminder to yourself. And that way we can actually meet people where they are. Make sense? Thought that was very insightful for a Sunday morning. And then we have CJE Academy, which I will be happily sharing with my synagogue contacts. It will probably be in March. It's at least once or twice a year where we hear from leaders who are in the senior well-being world, if you will. So I'm looking into helping my supervisor find the next great topic. Not today, tomorrow, Monday. And then, of course, we have, I feel as if we want to continue being leaders in the field of senior life, we need to continue to help offer the people out in the world, offering the care, the social workers, the caregivers to continue with their professional education. And so we sponsor at least 2 or 3 and sometimes 4 a year continuing education opportunities. We partner with another organization. They do all the registration, they do all the CE certificate, and then I find the talk and I find the place and we work it out and we blow out a message to everyone. They can get their continuing education credits. I feel that's like an obligation we owe the rest of our community, right? And I think we are almost there, guys. All right, last value. You have to say this one is in Arivut, accountability. Is what I like to tell the new employees. Look, got to wake up every morning, answer to yourself in the mirror, right? So we worked really hard on this concept called the hub. It probably has a nicer name. The moment I didn't find it, you get the idea. We worked about 2 years. And how do we create one point of entry? Can you imagine all those departments and programs I told you about, each of them getting a different phone call? It was kind of hard and silly. So what we did is we set up the hub and we start with a concierge call. When you call in, unless everybody's tied up or it's lunch hour, you get a concierge. It's one of 2 or 3 people that will help you get to field or determine what your call is. Here's what I learned. In all my years at CJE, people wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And when you start with one problem, by the time you get your fingers to make the call, there's more than one problem, right? True or true?
Thank you.
So with one point of entry, we're gonna get you in to make an appointment with our intake. I am proud, excited to tell you this seems to work. It's not perfect. I'm not gonna tell you it's perfect, but I love it because we have a clinical staff as our intake people. Now, if your matter is emergent, hopefully you didn't wait that long, but things happen. You will be treated as such an emergent concern. However, most of us who wait and wait and wait have more than one issue. You will be referred and made an appointment with our clinical intake team. Not all social workers, they're psychology people, but you understand that they will basically do the assessment, helps you connect you with those different departments and programs that I talked about, right? And that's how that works. If we don't offer a service. Okay, so out of everything I talked about, can anyone identify something I didn't talk about? It's like a trick question. Okay, I didn't mention home care. And that's a biggie, because sometimes you just need home care when you come home from rehab, right, to assist you in your home. So I think at one time we did this, is my understanding, but we do not do this, we refer out for that. But doing this presentation, I'm going back to my team and I'm gonna ask them for something I think would be a great service, and that is questions to ask when you're looking for home care. But I will give you Marla's hint, make sure they are insured. And most of that means you work with a viable agency, not somebody whose mother took care of somebody's mother, who took care of somebody's mother or father. Okay, you want them insured, because God forbid, you need recourse. You don't want to be sued, you don't want to have to sue anybody. Got it? Important, if you learn anything, excellent. So that is our values. Most all of our services, I probably didn't mention every single one, but I mentioned a lot. Okay, this is how to reach us. Our website is beautiful. Our one and only phone number, enter in 773-508-1000. This is where our main office is. And thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to say, special thanks. We're going to take questions in a hot minute. But, I get a lot of phone calls about different questions, parents, for yourselves. And I always give them Marla's number. And sometimes she can solve it and sometimes she can't. But she is so gracious. And if you have any questions that you don't want to bring up right now, she is really our advocate, connection. Tell her you know Vanessa. I always say that. Tell her you know me. And she is so responsive. And this is a wonderful, wonderful organization. And for those of you.
Are you online
Uh,
yet?
For those of you who, muted,
Okay.
I can do that while you do.
thank you. For those of you who have donated to Jewish United Fund, this is
Just knew to me there's something wrong. Yeah, they're realizing something's wrong.
There we go. Okay, now we're good. So I'm gonna come and Marla's gonna answer any questions and
Bless her.
you know, she's just a great resource and knows what she's.
Great resource for aging in every way.
Oh,
Sheila?
I might have to remove her.
Booted off the island.
Two things. One is, I know somebody who could benefit from that service, if somebody looked over their income and their names how do I get her connected to what you're talking?
If you give her that flyer, you can take two, and if anyone needs more, I have more in the car. The flyer,
Make sure that you know, it already has a social worker, Barbara Sarandon, or something like that. I don't think this has ever been approached to my friend.
okay, we're not gonna ask her, she's gonna have to talk to us. She's gonna need to bring it up. So what I might say as her friend is, I'm so thrilled you're seeing your social worker every week. I am wondering, have you ever thought about talking with her about your finances, living situation, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I want to say is, many, many years ago, before my parents were old, I took a course with CJE. It was wonderful. It was a course showing you what it's like to be old. Having hearing difficulties, having seeing difficulties, etc. Do you still have a course like that for younger people? I took the course because I wanted to know, before I got there with my parents and became angry about things, I wanted to understand what it was.
We don't offer it formally. You could probably ask our speakers bureau to provide a course like that. We need to know who, what I do, and Vanessa may have forgotten, so I'll remind her, I occasionally go into synagogues and do a Sunday school class for different grades about aging. I've shifted that a bit and spun it to be how aging could be positive if you keep yourself active and you attend to what your healing and your physical needs, your emotional needs.
Young adults would one day have over there.
Which we all ideally will. But I have to say, there's a little disconnect in my opinion, because it's the same as people coming to see our senior living communities, is that we call them adult children, right? So adult children do so much. Hold on, I got a visual for you. Those adult children who are exploring senior living communities, this is what they do. They do everything on here. What we used to go out and see maybe 6 communities for our parents, they're eliminating it down to 2, maybe 3, because they've done all the research right here. So there's a little disconnect of how much I think people think they know what's going to happen, but I don't think anyone ever really knows, because even I have a mom with mild cognitive impairment, and how her mild cognitive impairment shows is different than anybody else's mother or father who has mild cognitive impairment. So the course can be asked for and then worked on, but it depends on who we're going for and how we set that up.
We're gonna take a comment from Alan, and then Marilyn will get to you. I see that your hand is raised. Alan.
You mentioned that Carol and I do home delivered meals. Can you tell people about some of the other volunteer opportunities that are available?
Okay, I haven't been in the department for 3 years, so you'll be patient with me. Okay, I have a great example. It just happened last week. Did we have a holiday last week? Okay, we had volunteers come in to both our Weinberg community and our Tamras community and lead Hanukkah candle lighting and a little bit of song and music. They had song sheets, nobody was left on their own. And that was one wonderful opportunity. We have people who come in for Shabbat services and help the residents get seated, find what page they're on. High holidays, there's usually a call out for people to help with those services. Those are sort of the Jewish opportunities I'm thinking of. We have birthday parties every month at the residences, and sometimes we ask volunteers to help us serve coffee and bring snacks to the table, depending on where we are. Is that okay? A couple of good examples.
Marilyn, go ahead.
Yes, well, I just hung up with our very own Sheila Marks, who was at one time president of Solel and a member of, she and Jack Marks.
From Sheila Marks, who's the president of Solel. Go
Yes.
ahead.
And she has written a book called the Millie Book. and it stands for My Important Life Information. So our very own
I'll get the
Sheila,
title.
and it gathers important information
Yeah,
about
there's important information.
files in one place. And it has a place to gather files for
A place to gather files and to help with an
for
agency
documents
or
and
yourself,
financial and deeds.
financial, okay.
And she sells this book, and I've had such pleasure in having it, not just for myself, but for my family and for.
Marilyn loves the book. Marilyn, can you
And-
put the book in the chat? And I can let people know the name of the book.
Yes, and also I'll give you Sheila's email, so if you want to buy one.
She's a member. I can get her email because it's
Okay.
the directory, which we should all know how to use. And if you don't, I'll let you know.
It's a fabulous book with all kinds of indexes for tax returns.
Perfect.
and-
Fabulous book.
Yes,
Thank you, Marilyn.
okay.
She's gonna give it to me. I couldn't, even I couldn't. Hi.
Alan's tried to help me tremendously on this issue, so I would like your opinion. I have a sister who in California who has Alzheimer's. Her husband, who is on a walker, is her primary caregiver. And I have attempted to give my input, which is not welcome. So the question is, do you have facilities, and Ellen is helping with this, in other places, like California or wherever, for those who, I mean, I'm not her caregiver, but I feel that she's not getting the best of care. So how do I work on that?
So we're in California.
She's in Thousand Oaks.
Okay, this is what I would tell you if you called me, if Vanessa, the same. If you asked Vanessa and Vanessa said, call Marla, this is what I would say to you. One, this is a very hard situation. Two, we don't have, CJE is local. However, Jewish federations, if you will, are all over the United States at least, if not all over the world. So, but what I would start with is I would call the village or the city or the town of Thousand Oaks and see what, or you can jump online if you're feeling savvy at the moment and explore what senior services they have to offer. Other important resource is the Alzheimer's Association. They are widely distributed. You know, we do the walk every year, blah, blah.
Okay.
So those are at least 2 or 3 to explore, and it's very hard when you're not, and just, I think if you offer it up to your brother-in-law and say, here's some things I've collected, what else can you do? You can't go out there and do it yourself. So I think you can gather and say, this is a care package for both of you. These are some things I've gathered up so that maybe when the time comes, they might look at it. No guarantees, but you've done your due diligence, as I call it.
Carol, I'll come back to you then.
You had mentioned the binder earlier. Can you talk about what people like us, the type of conversations we should be having with our adult children?
Ooh.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So I'm gonna recommend that you make an appointment and then you can have a show and tell with your kids. So if you make the appointment to learn about the binder and you see all that goes in it, it could be things like where your bank deposit box is. If you have a safety, you know, those are old fashioned, but people have them, right? So it could be, there'll be a file where it might say bank accounts. Maybe it says safety deposit box. Maybe it says will and trust. Maybe it says power of attorney. Maybe it says all the other things you can think of. Doctors, your list of doctors, your list of medicines, and you make a commitment to update that every 6 to 12 months. I think that's a gift you give your adult children. And to get your documents in order. I cannot stress it enough. It's so easy, you won't believe it.
The point, the power of attorney and power of health attorney.
Right.
Power of attorney and power of health attorney.
So we call them end of life documents because it's getting ready for the end of life. And even though we don't like to talk about it, it's something we all need to do. Yes,
Right, oh, wait.
I would just add, they also need to know where your passwords are.
passwords,
Password.
passports, I'm with you. Excellent.
I want to thank you for your presentation. I want to thank you for CJE. I have to say, I get your weekly, Zoom menu, and I use your exercise Zoom, and it's great. And I have not had an opportunity to take any of the other, they're all interesting looking, but I have other activities.
Sure,
But I want to thank you for CJE.
it is my genuine pleasure and honor, honestly.
Thank you, Linda, not a planted response. She is not giving.
Thanks,
any-
Vanessa. No. Thank you so much.
Carol.
Is there a cost involved in any of this when somebody approaches you? Is it means testing or how do you do this?
So counseling is usually on a sliding scale or certain people qualify. Look, people who come to legal services, there's no fear. There might be qualifications. I don't know what they are, so I don't want to say. But you'll find out. And then what happens is, if you can afford to, people can intern. There's no charge necessarily for some of the things, but you can always make a donation, right? As a thank you. I had my own experience, Friday afternoon, I met with a colleague. She runs a home care agency, but she has all these certifications in long-term care, and we want to reopen my mother's claim for long-term care. She was on it for a year, they closed her off, they really can't do that, but they did. So we want to reopen, and she gave us such great advice. So I was with my brother to meet her, and he said, how can we pay you? And she said, I don't take money. So either I'm gonna try to find out what her favorite cause organization is and make a donation in her honor or something, and a little gift, because you have to thank people along the way, right? You don't have to, but if you were grown up like or a certain way, you do these things. You don't owe them, but it's a nice gesture.
I know that Marla's gonna stay and answer any questions, and of course, if you think of something during the week, you can call me.
And my card is there.
Your car.
But you tell me how you met me, so that helps me remember
Exactly.
what I talked about her already.
Exactly. And you've given us so much, I guess I should come here. You've given us so much to think about. And I hope that everybody online and here, I know that there's something we can do. And I always tell people, as whether it's doing tzedakah, tikkun olam, you don't have to get the whole binder, but get a binder, get one page into the binder. Just do one thing, because I know that it will help you, it will help us, it will help everybody. So it's great to see everyone. We'll see you all next week, and have a happy new year.
And healthy, thank you, so.